What's up everyone, it's Victor Gonzalez, ClickRush Marketing, and I wanted to put this video together for you because I have been hearing this nonstop about people putting their sales teams and and best producers and worst producers into all these sales programs and teaching them how to do like first call closing, how to be better at sales. All that's great, but none of it really matters. People aren't going to have increased production because you teach them how to close better, or you teach them how to one call close, or any of those things. Because those skill sets can be taught, but if the issue that is typically the bottleneck, and I've coached hundreds of agents, I've trained hundreds, if not at this point, thousands of agents over the last 6-7 years, like purely just training on sales, marketing, and all this stuff. There's always one bottleneck. And I caution agents on investing into training their employees until they can teach themselves this one thing: holding your staff accountable. Yes, you can have activity numbers, how many outbound dials, how much talk time, all that stuff is great. But if you don't hold them accountable to results, and you don't hold them accountable to using the things that they're being taught, then nothing else matters. Because when there's no accountability, then people can just stay in their comfort zone, operating at the same way that they've always operated at, and you're going to have average people continue to be average, you're going to have below average people continue to be below average, and the bottleneck is always the accountability piece. So I can sit here and I can coach sales teams all day, and I can teach them best practices to first call closing, I can teach them best practices to pipeline management. I could teach them all the things that they need to know to really maximize their skill sets, but none of that matters if we don't hold them accountable to actually doing those things. I can learn something, but if I don't implement it, and I'm not held accountable to continuing to implement it until it becomes a habit, then it becomes a waste of time and money. So what I want you to do, if you're not already holding your team accountable, and that means you sitting next to your team and listening to their calls live, not recorded calls, not AI, sending you transcripts and you checking phone calls once a week or every other week. It's you sitting next to your team and listening in on every single call for half of a day, and doing that every single day for 2-3 weeks, so that they know that you're there, you're giving them feedback, and you're holding them accountable to the things that you are investing into them to learn. Then you shouldn't be investing into them. If you cannot invest into a program or coaching or systems or courses, and you don't have the capacity to sit by your team and ensure that they're making use of it, not with recorded calls, but you physically sitting next to them and making sure they use the things that they're learning, that you're paying for them to learn, then it's not worth you paying for them to learn, because they're never going to use it. You occasionally have that one person who might be really, really like all for it, and they'll use it. But the reality is for every 5 or 10 salespeople that you have, you might have one that will do it and not need to be held accountable. They'll just do it. But for the other 4 to 9 salespeople on your team, that's typically not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You have to hold your team accountable. And too many agents, too many managers, too many leaders are afraid to hold their teams accountable. You have to hold them accountable. If you want them to be better, if you truly want them to be better, you can't look towards programs and coaching and all these things as a cop-out for you still having to do your portion as a manager and a leader, which is holding your team accountable, which is staying there and making sure that they're making use of everything that you're investing into them. And this isn't meant to be a knock on anyone. This is just telling you what I've noticed working with hundreds of agents, training hundreds of agents, talking to agents every single day, learning about the problems they have within their agency, and it almost always stems back to their sales team. So if this sounds like something that you're dealing with in your agency, where it's like, hey, I'm investing into all these programs and I'm giving my team everything they need and they just don't seem to be getting better, then I need you to look into the mirror and realize that it's probably you not holding them accountable to it. And if you need to hop on a phone call and you want to have a discussion about some of the best practices to be able to do that, whether it's making your own calendar more efficient so that you have more time to work with your team so that you can learn these things, and then you can maybe implement some automations to help with the process, but you still have to be physically there, I'll gladly hop on a call with you and kind of go over any issues you're having and help find any bottlenecks you may have in your agency completely for free. I really, really want to see agents in 2025 really put a focus on their teams, their systems, and really growing, because this is going to be one of the most opportune times to grow an agency, build an agency, and if you want to sell for a multiple, sell your agency. So I look forward to talking to you guys soon. I hope you guys found value in this video. I look forward to talking to you soon.